So, Rabbi Sharbat, I mean, like some of the questions that I've gotten, sort of like, okay, what's the impetus? What are you doing here? So I have to say, the maybe I'll call him probably now the most influential rabbi in the modern Orthodox community, Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg. Right? This is Rabbi Goldberg's shtick. Right? He has this program he calls Behind the Bima. And he started in the beginning of the pandemic where he started interviewing all kinds of people from outside his community. And so, people are like, oh, is everybody now copying Rebbe Goldberg? The answer is probably yes. What's wrong if someone does something and they do it great? Like, why wouldn't we want to copy that? So I'm thinking to myself, okay, so you and I are putting together this thing, and I posted on Facebook, right? And then all of a sudden, towards the middle of the day, I get one of the likes that I get is Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg. So it's almost we have Rabbi Goldberg's bracha. So I'm feeling good about it. But we took this in a little bit of a different twist, right? So where he's like interviewing, their model is interviewing so many different people outside of their community. What we came up with was the idea of being able to, during this pandemic, one of the things that's been difficult is that we don't have that kiddush time to just sit and schmooze as we've always done. And, to have the ability for us to be able to talk and meet people in the community, which we haven't really been able to do in so long. And so many new people have moved into the community.
Yeah, there have been a lot of new families. And I think over time, people are starting to wonder, like, who is this person? I just met them at errands, or I happened to bump into them even at school, picking up my children. Somebody else is online, and I'm looking back and I'm wondering who's that person, and they just moved into the community, and we haven't had that chance to really get to know each other so well. So we'll be able to do that tonight, and this is really exciting. Really exciting.
This is the pilot.
Pilot.
We'll call it a pilot. I don't know. We'll see how this works, and we'll see what night of the week works, because you and I, we're virtually on every night. I mean, Monday night it's either a board meeting or your Rosh Chodesh, and Tuesday night your shir, and Wednesday night my shir, and so like there's always things going on. But this is something that I think you and I both wanted to do to really be able to feel like we're able to talk to people from the shul who are new to our shul, and not only new, because it happens to be that our guest tonight is not only new, but has a really interesting job. And I think that there are many people in our shul who we would normally see on a Shabbos, who just have really interesting lives, who do some incredible work, creativity, and many of them live their lives in a way in which they're really a walking Kiddush Hashem. And I think that that's an area that we want to focus on. And I mean, you and I have spoken about this, that we would love for, if there are people who want to really share their story and share what they do in a particular area, we would love to really showcase them and to highlight them. And it's not only people who are new to the community, but people who've been here for the longest time. And yet we may see them in shul. We don't necessarily schmooze with them. I think one of the things we've spoken about is trying to bridge the age gap as our shul, continues to grow, right? And we did a couple of years ago. There was a beautiful program. I think, what do we call it? Was it called Shabbat Across West Orange or something like that?
Yeah, where there was where we tried to partner up the young families with some of the old timers in the community for a Shabbat meal. That everyone gets to know each other. The children get to know them. It was a very successful Shabbat. God willing, we'll do it again. When the time comes, we'll be able to once again have such a beautiful.
I mean, I can't imagine, anyone eating in anyone else's house right now. Probably so much to be said about, when we go back, right? What will be the effect of how we can, of what it will be like to go back. But our guest tonight is, we'll get to him in a minute, but I just wanted to sort of finish off on the idea of what we're trying to do here. And if people have any ideas, for us as to how we could enhance this and make it better. Like, first of all, Sharbat, where are you sitting? Where are you in the house right now?
I am in my dining room.
Because that's beautiful. It's a beautiful what
artwork.
Yeah, that's really
right?
nice.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Actually, it's one of our own in West Orange.
Who's that?
Who do we purchase it from?
Oh, this is bad now. I mean, come on, you said.
No, I'm trying to remember. It was at
Put
some
it out
event.
there, like-
It was one of the meat events. It must have been Goldman.
Oh, Naomi.
Your neighbors.
Very
there.
nice.
Yes,
That is
yes.
gorgeous.
One of her artwork.
Beautiful. Really beautiful.
You know
Yeah.
Naomi Goldman?
Yeah.
I'm kind of if anyone who
What?
sees me on Zoom.
We just ask everyone hold on. We just ask everyone to mute, or whoever's host here, if host can mute everyone, please.
Usually anyone who sees my or joins my shiurim on Zoom knows
Yeah.
I'm in my playroom / library / workout room.
Is this like in honor of the new show? Like you wow.
New show. I don't know. Batya thought it wouldn't look proper if in the background you saw kids' artwork that's falling off of the ceiling and there's paint all over the door. So we figured we'd have a different scenery, new scenery.
But you know what? I'll tell you what, I think one of the things that people can know about you and me is that we're real, right? It's not about, sort of like this is the way it is. So like, where are those pictures? Maybe just post them somewhere so we can all see them and just see.
Make it happen for the next one.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right, so let's get going here, Rabbi Sharbat. I mean, if there's anything, is there any other kind of homework that we need to take care of before we get to our big interview tonight?
Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Let's start.
Okay, so this is really, let's see if we can pin. I'm trying to find Yadeed around. Yadeed, are you here?
Hi, yeah. Hi.
Where are you?
There he is.
I'm here somewhere.
Oh, there you are. Okay, so Yadeed Mellman, and my first question is like, is it Yadeed or Yedidya? Which one is it?
Well, so the full name is Yedidya, but I usually go by Yadeed.
Okay. All right. So that's what I've known you as, and then all of a sudden I saw in the email it said Yedidya, so I was a little bit confused.
Yeah, most people.
So just to start off, if we can throw the little piece out there, I don't know. We've had people who've been in entertainment before, I think, like in the shul on some level, maybe not, but this is a big deal that we have now a member of our shul who is the assistant director. By the way, Rabbi Sharbat, if this was like some kind of, borderline kind of show that rabbis shouldn't be talking about, it would make it a little bit, you hear what I'm saying? It would make it a little more complicated. Like for us to say like, oh yeah, like the guy in my shul, and he's the assistant director of FBI's Most Wanted. It's like, it's as par as it gets. It's like as rabbinic of a show as it gets, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
we keep
everything
classy.
Very classy, very classy. So I guess the question is, first of all, your wife Betsy is on with us also, right?
Yeah.
So we see Betsy down there. And you guys moved into West Orange how long ago? September, so like brand new. So here's the question: like it seems like you have one of the coolest jobs around.
Oh,
Sharbat? No, Rabbi Sharbat.
I think I have a cooler job, but he.
No. Rabbi Sharbat is without question. Rabbi Sharbat is the coolest rabbi around, but I'm not sure it's the coolest job. With all due respect, I think that so many people just seeing this, just seeing this, the title here, we're so intrigued. And I guess the first question is, like, how in the world did you, growing up, correct me if I'm wrong, you grew up in DC, right?
Yeah.
With a little bit less security than there is there tonight.
Just a tiny bit.
Yeah. And you went to, was it the Hebrew Academy?
Yeah, Melvin J. Berman Hebrew Academy.
Right. So how does a kid who goes to a modern Orthodox day school wind up directing like one of one of the big hits on CBS. What's the story?
Well, shockingly enough, and I just found this out a couple of years ago myself, I am not the only one of my graduating class of 40 kids from the Melvin J. Berman Hebrew Academy to work on set in the film and television business. A friend of mine works as a location manager in Canada.
Well, but I mean, Canada's not the United States. Right?
No, it's close. So I always knew I wanted to go into the entertainment field, whether it be theater or film. And I would take classes in the summer, do internships in California, classes at USC. And then I studied theater in college. And then as I was graduating, I decided I wanted to move up to New York, and my cousins graciously let me crash on their couch for a while. I answered a Facebook post from a guy I had taken a film class with years before, said he was looking for production assistants. He couldn't pay me anything, but he'd give me $10 for lunch every day. So I said, why not? So I ended up doing that. And we worked, about 18 hours a day, 6 days a week. And that got my foot in the door.
Wow. So once that foot got in the door, I mean, let's say I'm sort of, if I could back up a little bit.
Yeah.
And Rabbi Sharbat, just chime in here. But just so we get like an understanding. So you grew up in DC proper, like in Georgetown.
Georgetown, yep.
Wow. Okay. So you grew up in Georgetown. You go into Silver Spring for school, to school every day, which is not far, right?
Yeah.
You graduate Berman.
Yep.
You went to Israel.
Yep.
Where'd you go in Israel? Hartzvi. Sorry, Eretz Tzvi. And then you come back and you go to the University of Maryland.
Correct.
Wow. Okay. And then once you're in Maryland, you start saying, okay, I'm going to start to pursue this, and let's see where I get.
Yeah, I knew even before I started Maryland that's kind of where I wanted to go.
And was there any feeling that you had as a kid, like, I mean, look, I always wanted to play hockey for the Rangers, and I was just like, that's never going to happen. It wasn't because I wasn't good enough. It was just like, it's not going to happen just because Jewish kids are limited. Right. So
well, I guess in the entertainment field, there is that aspect that, Jews have a heavy influence in that sphere just to begin with. It's supposedly a Jewish friendly business.
Right.
So right. I thought I had more of a shot at that than playing basketball or hockey.
Wow. Well, the difference between you and me, but Steve's got more exciting job. Rabbi Shabbat, go ahead.
No, I remember as Rabbi Zwickler saying, as a child, you always have these like dreams and these fantasies. But was there someone from your childhood that kind of was saying, hey, you go for it. Like, this really could happen.
I do want to give a shout out to my parents, who I believe are also listening in to this. They were always very, very supportive. And, I decided I wanted to do this. And they were like, okay, go do it. And I did.
Wow. Wow. So at what point did you take that jump from, or maybe you can just, actually, you know what? I got an email today. I got an email today from someone in San Diego. Now, don't think for a second, because everybody's like watching, it's not true. It's a family who moved from our shul, our community, to San Diego, who told me as soon as they saw that you were coming on, they said that they were also a member of the Directors Guild of America. Okay. Now, forgive me, but I'm not so well spoken in the Directors Guild. How exactly is that? Is that the quote, the academy? How does that work?
So no, they're all separate things. So like most people know of the Screen Actors Guild.
Oh, okay. That's what I mixed it up.
It's the same thing, but for the Directors Guild includes directors, assistant directors, and then also it includes on our broadcast side, which I really have nothing to do with, but they have associate directors, stage managers, and production assistants that are on the broadcast side of the world.
So what is a day in the life of Yadeed Mellman like?
So, for instance, let's take today. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning,
Wow.
get dressed, shower, get ready for work. I drive into today, for instance, we were shooting at our soundstage in Brooklyn. So I drive into Brooklyn. I get there a little before 6. In the times of coronavirus, I show up at 6 and I get tested for COVID. Today happened to be a rapid test day, so I get rapid tested. Always very exciting.
So you're tested every day?
Every single day.
Oh,
Poor guy, your brain must be fried or something.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know
know
what.
it's a little bit of a constant itch.
Wow. Yeah.
And then I start getting everything up and running. The rest of our crew comes in about an hour after me at 7. Shortly after that, we do a rehearsal, figure out how we're going to shoot our first scene of the day. The company gets ready. We shoot our scene. We shoot many different angles of the scene. That usually takes a couple hours. We do a few scenes. Today we had 3 different scenes to shoot. We break for lunch after 6 hours. So we broke at around 1 o'clock for a half-hour lunch, which usually shakes out to be about 45 minutes. And then we pack all the trucks up and go home at 7.
So you guys were filming throughout COVID?
No, so I was on FBI last March as well. And I still remember that night we were shooting an overnight, and we were in the midst of shooting a giant takedown scene with all these cops and SWAT guys, and they had just cornered the bad guy and saved the day. And my line producer gathers us all around. We gather the whole crew into this driveway, cop lights blaring, the whole ordeal. And he's like, guys, this was March 13th. Guys, thank you all so much for a great season, but due to the circumstances going on, we're gonna shut down for 2 weeks, which we all know turned out to be much longer than 2 weeks. And we were shut down until September, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned SWAT, so you as the assistant director, what role do you have in, I guess you get the script and then you decide, who decides who are the actors to play what?
So on a TV show, that comes way before any director or anything like that. The studio and the creator of the show do a casting session and hire the series regulars. So, the 4 or 5 people that are just going to be on every episode.
I was thinking to myself, would Rabbi Sharbat more want to be one of the most wanted, or he more want to be,
I'm the SWAT.
Yeah, I thought
I'm
you
the
were
SWAT.
Yeah.
I'm the
So the
SWAT.
SWAT guys get to be on every episode. The most wanted guys only get to be on one, because then they get caught.
Oh, right. So once they're caught, you can't recycle them.
I mean, if you're ever looking for a Middle Eastern, you could pick me. Okay, if you ever need one, I'm here. I'm here for you.
I don't know how that'll work with the shul though, Rabbi Shabbat. Wow. So any kind of funny anecdotes that you take away from
So this goes back to when I was a production assistant. I was working on a Woody Allen movie called Cafe Society, and Jesse Eisenberg was our lead actor on that. And I was the PA in charge of managing the talent. And so Jesse comes up to me one day and he looks at me and he's like, I've been thinking about it, and our relationship, it's really weird. And I was like, oh, okay, how so? He's like, well, you're kind of like the boss of me. You tell me what to do every day. You tell me where to go, when to do things, when I can go to the bathroom, when I can leave, when I have to go to set, all these things. I'm like, yeah.
Wow.
And then he looks at me with a curious look on his face and he's like, but at the same time, I can probably get you fired whenever I want. And I look at him and I'm like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, that's really interesting.
Rabbi Sharbat, you got something?
I just it's not often you
Jim
find
Dweezil.
it's not often you find someone in an Orthodox community like West Orange or any community, someone who works in showbiz or in the movie theater, a movie production. And like, so what's it like just being Jewish there? Like, are they respective of your religion, of our religion? Are they respective of some of the constraints that you have within what you could do, you can't do, when you could do, how you could do it?
So luckily, for the most part, it's a very, very liberal mindset. Everybody's tolerant of pretty much everything and anything. Everybody has a fairly liberal tilt to their philosophy. That being said, there are some challenges. For instance, because of COVID and the scheduling and all of the craziness associated with that, we've had to work a lot of Saturdays this season, which is very uncommon for TV shows. It's usually a very strict Monday through Friday kind of thing. And this is my second season with all of these guys, and they know I don't roll on Shabbos. And so to them, it's, they know and accept it, and it is what it is. But I feel bad that I'm not there to help my team and do my job when they're out there working, their sixth day, and I'm at home, having a nice Shabbos dinner and nice Shabbos lunch.
Wow. And so was the first time that happened, was it awkward? I remember, it's funny, I remember I was at an RCA convention, Rabbinical Council of America convention in LA a number of years ago. And these conventions, they can never get the rabbis to stay till the end. So they decided that the last day, like any conference, you never get anybody to stay to the end. So the last day they decided that you were going to meet with screenwriters. Like, the screenwriters are going to give like the rabbis, like their best take or whatever. And I'm just like, okay, got to catch my flight, but might as well. Right. And you had some of these screenwriters of like real, serious shows on TV who happened to be, many of them were Orthodox, and one of them told his story, and he said he kept on, he started feeling about, sort of feeling connected to this idea of Shabbos. And he realized that every Friday night, like when he finished work and he would come home, Shabbos started. So Shabbos really started at 7:00, but he finished, in down at the set at 10:00, and he came home at 10:00. He would then start Shabbos at 10:00. And then there was some kind of a director or someone who made a comment to him, who I guess had been Orthodox or had been observant at some point, who said to him, why don't you go home? Shabbos is starting. And then when he came home one Friday night, and he said, I come home and Shabbos is waiting for me. He said, and I realized that I need to be waiting for Shabbos. And just like for me, right, sitting here with all of us and just listening to you, like here on this, FBI's Most Wanted is like a big show on CBS. It's like a major show. We're not like, this is not some like Nuch Schlepper, like Lifetime channel or something. And here's, no offense to like Bravo or anything like that, right? And here is someone who was a product of the modern Orthodox day school system, right? Who grew up in an Orthodox community, who went to a yeshiva, and is an assistant director, a guy who could very easily say, hey, you know what? Okay, look, I've made it. This is what I have to do. And like, okay, I just can't leave my crew. I can't leave everybody. And there you are saying, no, sorry, like Shabbos is not going to wait for me. I'm going to wait for Shabbos. And I just like, wow, like kol hakavod. I'm so honored. It's just very touched. Rabbi Sharbat, aren't you touched?
I mean, I'm touched with anyone who makes the commitment to put, what they live for on hold for 24, 25 hours and make sure that everything is, biyad Hashem, got to follow the ways of the Torah. And so it definitely makes whatever you do even more of a Kiddush Hashem when people hear about that. So,
Yeah, and I think that for us, in our community, we are, and I mean the greater Orthodox community, like we are so desperate to have people see us and see the authenticity of what we believe in and what we practice, and to see that we can give to the world, to be a light unto the world, and at the same time not to give up on our values and have our values respected by others. And it's just, here I'm thinking of so many people who came to this country post the war and would lose their jobs because of Shabbos. And here's someone like you who just said, hey, it's okay. I'm in this position and I'm going to have the guts to tell everybody I don't work on Saturdays. And that was embraced.
That being said, there have been times where I have been passed over for various reasons.
Right.
Most,
Right.
I was when I was earlier in my career, I was up for a job, and it started during Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, and I said, "Hey, I love to do it, but I need X, Y, and Z dates off," and they ended up giving the job to somebody else.
But they didn't. Did they say why, or is that sort of a legal kind of thing?
Yeah, they didn't. They weren't explicit. They're like, "Is there no wiggle room there?" And I'm like, "No."
Wow.
A month later, they called me back and were like, "Hey, the guy we had before didn't work out. Can you still do it?" And I didn't.
Wow.
You've inspired me. I think I should also take off on Shabbos and Yom Tov. I agree. I don't know why there's Rabbi Zwickler and I have to work on
I'm not
Shabbat,
sure the community is so happy about that.
You did. No, you did. I'll tell you the truth. I mean, Rabbi Sharbat really asked me to sort of sell you that he would like to start. This is just a show, but we really want it to become more of a TV show. So one of the roles that we hope, we always talk about lay leadership. Like this is where we want to make Rabbi Sharbat big. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
I don't even know if CBS can handle it. You'll learn as you're, as you continue to, please God, get to know our community. He is larger than life. So just get ready for that.
Maybe
you did, yeah. How did you get to West Orange?
Yeah.
How did you get to West Orange?
I'm going to credit the pandemic a little bit with it. We were living on the Upper East Side, and I've always been a city guy, and I love living in the city. My wife always wanted to come out to the suburbs, and I said, yeah, at some point when the time is right, yeah, let's do it. Let's make that move. And then the pandemic hit, and all the good things about living in New York City stopped existing. And so, she was like, hey, let's do it. And I said, yeah, I'm game. There's, I'd much rather live in a house instead of this tiny little apartment that I can't leave. Have some space, move around a little bit. And we were looking at a few places. We decided, like Teaneck and Englewood just weren't really for us for a variety of reasons. We heard a lot of great things about West Orange, and we decided to take the leap.
Yeah, question. First of all, where's Betsy from?
Betsy's from Goshen, New York.
Oh, upstate.
Yeah.
I remember she told me that. Right, Goshen. That's the town in New York named after a biblical town.
Yes.
I always remember driving up, drive up on 17, you always see Goshen. And so now we associate that.
Rabbi, isn't there another family that moved in from Goshen at one point? Hershey?
Yes.
Weren't they living up there?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. They are here. That's true. That is true. So what's the future here? Like, what's the next step?
What's the next step?
Yeah. No, I don't mean like West Orange. I know, I'm not talking about okay, shul president. We're taking it simple, not to get Andrew Yolen nervous here, but we're just like, what's the next step as far as like you go to FBI Most Wanted, you're an assistant director. Is the next step like director and then, conquer the world? I mean, how's it work?
So it's a little counterintuitive, but being an assistant director is actually more closely related to being a producer than it is to being a director. an assistant director is not really a creative position. It's more of a schedule management, logistics type position. And so next step is probably a production manager and then producer, hopefully.
So that's amazing. So I just got a message from Andrew Yolen saying that he thinks that you'd be a great president and that he would love for you to wake me up at 4:30 in the morning. He didn't say that. That was me. But let me ask you this question: for the people out there, and really, if you look even 10 years ago to where we are now, the idea of film, right? I mean, like, look how many people out there are creating their own films and are, creating careers for themselves on social media based on that. What do you say to a kid who is, who's in Kushner, a kid who's growing up in the community, who wants to, to aspire to make it in the business like you one day? And is it something that is a dream that's attainable given the environment? We'd say the economy or the world as it is, or the independent filmmakers versus TV.
So, here's my advice to that respect. It's very hard to do this. If you can see yourself doing anything else, you should go do that instead.
Wow, that's like encouraging.
No. This was said to me many, many times throughout my career and in college and classes I would take. Everybody's advice was always, if you can see yourself not doing this, this isn't for you. And I always thought that they were, kind of full of themselves and, oh, they're, a teacher here at, school. Like, are they they're not, did they make it? Like, not that there's anything wrong with that, but, I always took that with a very hefty grain of salt. But now that I am where I am and have had to go through what I've had to go through, and waking up at 4:30 in the morning and actually sleeping in at this point in my career. If you can see yourself doing something else, go do that. If this is the only thing you can see yourself doing, keep doing it, keep working at it, and you will get there.
Right, because you have to really want it. You have to really
want it.
Yeah.
It's not a simple path. It's not, you go to law school, you get you go to med school, you match, everybody's got to figure out their own path, their own trajectory, you constantly have to be working at it. And there's no easy path. Wow.
And I love the fact that, in a world where so many times we're looking for to know someone or connection or this, get me that. I mean, here you said, look, you just put your foot in the door, you interned, you hustled, you just got from one to the next, to the next, to the next, until you finally made it. And I think what you're really talking is about determination.
Yeah.
And that's really tremendous. Someone texted me just now about ask Yadeed to tell the Jim Dweezil story. Am I embarrassed that I don't know that name? Is there some story? No?
Diesel.
Dweezil?
Diesel. Aramaic.
Oh, Jim Caviezel.
Oh, okay.
So
I feel
Jim Caviezel was an actor on Person of Interest.
Oh, okay.
He was the lead on that. He's also famously played Jesus in Passion of the Christ.
Oh, lovely.
Great Jewish film. And so I'm sitting there talking to him one day, and he's like, "Hey, do you speak Hebrew?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so he starts speaking to me, and for a second, I'm not understanding what's going on. I'm very confused. I'm like, did I forget all of my Hebrew? What's going on? And then I suddenly realized that he's speaking in Aramaic.
Oh, you're back in Gemara class.
Because that's what they taught him to. That's what he spoke in the movie.
Wow.
Thought it was Hebrew.
Wow. Wow. You did one more question. Any like sentiment of like anti-Semitism, anti-Israel in the industry? Any comment?
Not really. I mean, you know, there are a couple of people who I've encountered in my time who might have had those inclinations, like you might have in any job or any office anywhere. But, you know, overall, most people are very accepting, and, you know,
That's great. That's great.
I haven't really experienced anything brash.
Wow, that's great. Rabbi Sharbat, you got, because I got a couple of last West Orange questions here. I want to know,
I want to know. I'm like, can we get like the inside scoop? Is there like another show you're going to be working on soon? Like, can you multitask? Are you able to double up, or are you focused on one?
Got to do one at a time.
Uh-huh.
Got to do one at a time. I'm there, you know, 12, 14 hours a day. There's only so much time.
well, there must be, I mean, you know, Betsy must really be, I mean, so really, you know, I would say sounds like so supportive of your dream. You know, here you're gone at 4:30 in the morning. I can imagine that there's an alarm clock that goes off at 4:30 in the morning. and it's got to have, you know, the amount of time that you're schlepping in all the way to Brooklyn and coming back, and the commitment that it takes. It really says a lot. I'm watching Betsy the whole time here. I think she's
well, I was gonna say it helps that my alarm also goes off at 5 a.m. So
okay, so it's not so bad.
It's not terrible. But,
Okay, 1 second. So now I have a question. Biggest surprise in moving to West Orange? To me, it was the moving from, you know, Washington Heights. It was the lack of a garbage truck at 10 p.m. So what's your biggest surprise about moving to West Orange?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's why I have this job. That I ask good questions.
Yeah. I don't know. Not, like,
can I answer for you?
Please.
Yeah.
So when we first moved in, every single day he kept talking about how all the fire hydrants were blue. He found that fascinating.
Fire hydrants are supposed to be red.
It's kind of
Okay.
fascinating and a little confusing too.
Rabbi Sharbat?
No, it's when I moved in, I can't believe I saw deer, you know, coming from Queens and Washington Heights. Who sees animals other than raccoons, which I still see, unfortunately? I always thought seeing the deer was like fascinating. So, wow. You live in a zoo.
you did. If you get bored, I mean, there is a film to make. There is quite a bit of footage about Rabbi Sharbat fighting with raccoons behind the shul with garbage late at night. So if we ever need
traumatized.
Sounds like interesting found footage kind of documentary.
It's you know, we live in a world of film. I was saying to someone just yesterday that I got a call not long ago from, you know, my son was in school and there was some kind of tussle, and the principal was calling me up and just letting you know everything's okay. The kids made up, but they had this little you know, tussle, and then the principal's like, and I watched the video. So it's like, you know, it used to be like you go into the principal's room, office, and the principal says to you, like, oh, you know, what did you do and what did you do? And then, you know, the principal just has to make a decision. And we live in a world where video is everywhere. Everything is being recorded, which of course is a message to us about religion, right? About God, that everything is being recorded. But for you, someone who's constantly recording, and I wonder if you ever get like sort of, do you get caught up in the story of each episode? Do you find yourself, you know, like when someone is watching an episode, they're sort of they're away from everything else and it's entertainment, so they just put themselves in the story. You're the one who's creating the story, and I guess two questions, the last questions, but two questions. Yeah. So an hour-long episode, which I guess without commercials is probably like 40-something minutes. Yeah. How long does that take to film? A. And then B, do you see that, like, do you see the whole picture or like the whole story? Is there like an enjoyment to that? Or are you just in the work, in the business? So you're just seeing the little pieces that are then put together.
So about the answer to your first question, how long does it take? A normal procedural type show like FBI Most Wanted, 8 to 10 days, closer to 10 in COVID.
Wow.
And then you have other more intricate shows. It could be 15 to 20 days for an episode.
Wow.
And then you have shows like Game of Thrones, which is like 50 days or something crazy like that.
Wow.
And then we shoot out of order, so we don't shoot anything chronologically.
Oh, wow.
At all.
So for the actors, you know, and the actresses, like it's not even following the flow. It's just random.
Yeah.
You can have like the final scene of the person getting arrested before the criminal act is even committed.
Yes.
It's Ein Mukda Muchar B'movie.
Yeah,
There's
apparently.
chronological
Right.
order.
Yes.
That's really neat. Why do they do that?
Well, so there's a whole mess of factors that go into it, from when the locations are available, when the actors are available, when it makes sense to pair various things, like these locations are all close together. So we're gonna go up and film those locations together, and there are scenes 37, 12, 18, 1, 3, and 7.
Wow.
So
Wow.
you shoot those scenes over the course of 2 days.
No teleprompters, huh?
No.
Wow.
All book.
That's great. That's great. All right. Well, you did. It was really fun. Really fun. And Betsy, thank
you
you.
so much for having me.
Yeah, it was. And you're the pilot. You're the pilot. Like, this is, if
It's not
we
my
make
first
it,
pilot.
if we make it, you Rabbi Sharbat, if we make it, this is big, right? I mean, he's the first guest. So I hope that we really appreciate you taking the time, certainly considering that you're getting up at 4:30 in the morning and we have to let you guys go to sleep. But I just love the fact that here, you know, you just moved into the community and so many people really got this sense of really getting to know you. And I think that there are people who are even in the community that we don't necessarily know, and how much more so that you guys just moved into September. And we really got to know you guys, and we look forward to many, many years hearing about many great stories. But just listen, when you get the Oscar, all right, a shout out to your rabbi. Don't forget, okay?
All right. I think I can do that.
You did. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Okay.
Nice meeting you.
Pleasure.
Laila Tov.
Laila Tov. Rabbi Sharbat. All right, Rabbi Sharbat, let's
We
wrap
need some
this up
music.
now.
We need some music in the
Well,
background.
we're not up to that yet.
Something,
We're
you
not
know?
up to music. This is our pilot. We don't even know to do that yet. You know what I'm saying? This is like, we have to figure this out. Tomorrow we'll be like Yadeed, you know, and like we'll have to review the recording and point out all, you know, we're gonna have to manage all the emails. You know, Rabbi, you spoke too much. You know, you didn't let him talk. Like all that stuff.
You got to add the bloopers. We got to add the bloopers. I mean, there are no bloopers in the FBI Most Wanted. Probably.
Oh, someone told me it's an Emmy, not an Oscar. Is that what it is?
Yeah, but hopefully one day an Oscar too.
All right, good. Yeah, so all right, whenever it is.
The rabbi thinks big. Rabbi thinks big.
You have to, right? If you didn't think big, you wouldn't have gotten to where he.
I think Rabbi Zwickler, I think everyone's interested. They're wondering who's the next guest. Ooh,
Well, we'll find out. But I just want to say
Episode 2.
you did. I just want to say you did. I didn't completely know this going in, but I really want to say that now that you're a part of our community and how how we all heard your story and what you do and particularly what you said about Shabbos, I think you are really you're really someone I think that we all look up to as far as our values and standing up for really the idea of Torah and Shabbos, and I just really so happy and thank you, and look forward to hearing much more from you in the future.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Thanks.
everybody for having me.
Okay.
All the best. Rabbi Sharbat, you did well, man.
That's a wrap, Rabbi. That's a wrap.
Yeah.
That's
So
the
do
lights
you
going.
have any ideas for the next show or what?
I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. Maybe Andrew Yolen.
That would be
Maybe,
interesting.
yeah.
That would be interesting. He's sort of,
No, he's nodding his
That
head.
sounds pretty
Might
boring.
have to wait till after he's president when he can reveal secrets, right?
oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, but Rabbi Sharbat, I think it's fair to say that we're looking for ideas, right? If anyone has
Yeah,
some,
absolutely. And please,
Yeah.
everyone, don't be shy. Send us names, ideas. Get it
Yeah.
going.
yeah,
Get it going.
and because during COVID, it's there's not much to do, and I think this is fun, keeping us all connected to each other. At least it's fun for me and for you, right?
It's
I would hope other
entertainment.
people like it too. Yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. That means our first show is in the wraps. Don't forget, tomorrow you have 10 a.m. my Parsha Shir, 8 p.m. Rabbi Sharbat Shir, Navi Shir, and Amos. We look forward to seeing all of you then. Have a wonderful evening.